What's good, folks, family, friends, loved ones, enemies, frenemies, wizards, witches, muggles, mudbloods, people of Middle Earth, to another edition of Disguised Coverage, the only podcast that gives you an equal amount of blueberries in each muffin and is presented by the best pizza in Buffalo, New York, and that is One Pipe Pizza. Find the online menu in the episode show notes, whether here on YouTube or whichever podcasting app or platform you're listening to this show on. I am your host, Anthony. Find me on Twitter at pro__ant. That's pro, 2 underscores, ANT. Happy Halloween week to those who enjoy that sort of thing. Happy Tuesday. Happy third consecutive Buffalo Bills victory in a row. And in this episode of Disguise Coverage, a little bit of a different direction than we normally do in season. Normally it's the matchup show and breaking down the schematic and structural elements of the Bills and their upcoming opponent in terms of how to exploit each other, who has the advantage, where and how the game will be won. But I just thought, given how the Seattle game went in a variety of ways, including from Keon Coleman's perspective, which we're going to dive into tonight in this episode, but also just with it being a Miami week and Tua just coming back and the sample size not being great for their offense this year and us really kind of knowing who and what Miami is, I didn't really want to stay on the normal path. So we're venturing off a little bit for this live edition of Disguise Coverage, and we're going to be following up on the offline recorded film breakdown episode I did last week, breaking down Keon Coleman's first 100-yard receiving game against the Tennessee Titans. So in this one, I'm going to be following up with that by breaking down his game against the Seattle Seahawks, which I hope you folks deduce based on the title, episode description, some of the tweets, and the social elements. I think it's been a really encouraging, and I don't think this is a novel concept. I think what I'm about to say is echoed by a lot of people, but it's been a really encouraging past 2 weeks for Keon Coleman. It's not just the statistics and, the production that has come with it, and multiple kinds of statistics, the raw statistics, the advanced metrics, the pieces that are really starting to align for him, the success this offense has found. So it's not only encouraging to see that, but I think when you dive into the tape, you really start to get a sense of who he's becoming, how his skill set is starting to play in this offense, how he is starting to be utilized and how he's starting to fit in, what that does for the rest of the other wide receiving pieces, what it does for Josh Allen, how it presents conflict for defenses. And a lot of times I'm tweeting out these clips and breaking them down and talking about them, but I wanted to break it down in a full episode because of the importance I think he has to this team this year, but also going forward, just the success that he's had. And I thought it would be nice to kind of shine a light on that in conjunction with the breakdown that I did last week coming out of Tennessee. So without further ado, we'll get into it. Also, as we do here on the show, any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, philosophies, ideologies, anything and everything you folks got, feel free to put it up into the chat throughout the entirety of the episode, whether it's Keon Coleman related or not. I will answer as many things as physically and humanly possible. Super chats always get priority because I respect the monetary donation, but also because the color distracts me from my notes and the off-screen elements and pieces that I will be doing. A couple, 809 in the comments saying probably Woolen over the thumbnail. Yeah, it was a really good thumbnail for this one, being able to get that one-handed Moss type grab from Keon over Woolen. They had a bit of a battle. We're going to get into a couple of those clips in this game. I'm excited for that. Sespinar saying, is there something Keon can do to get more calls on the DBs grabbing him? Is there a quote-unquote trick that comes from experience in the NFL? I think it's a couple of things. One, I think the more he starts to be able to work subtly with his physicality, those calls will start to come. We're going to take a look at the defensive pass interference call that happened on him from Tariq Woolen later in this episode, late in the fourth quarter against Seattle. So we're going to show how he worked there. So I think some subtleties, starting to get more comfortable in terms of how to work and knowing how defenders and corners in particular are going to be playing him. But honestly, I think a lot of it just is tied to him becoming more technically sound and having more refinement into his game. The less sloppy that he is, the more efficient he is with his stem work and his releases and his footwork, that will start to come. With his size and his athleticism and his frame, if he adds on the technicality and the refinement and starts to clean up those aspects of his game from his feet in his stem work and the route tree and all of it, and the more he starts to clean that up, I do think more flags will come because he's just such a physical presence with the size and length and frame and strength and athleticism and all that. So the more technical he becomes, the less kind of bull in a china shop he becomes. I think you'll start to see more of those calls. That's a very good question. What's up, Jason? Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Sal said, hey, Ant, the blueberry counts were right. Where are all the Worthy fans right now? I don't even want to make jokes. I still really like Xavier Worthy. I still like his fit in the Chiefs offense. All the comparisons, and everybody's going to do it. These two are going to be tied together for forever, like Harry Potter and Voldemort. Like, it's just the way that it's going to be, unfortunately, for both of them, or positively or negatively, depending on how you view it. I hate the comparisons. Just because they're in two completely different offenses with two different styles of quarterbacks, with two different skill sets and usages and how they function and funnel into their roles and into their skill sets with their traits. So, yeah, but it's been nice to see Keon have some success, especially with how many people were, up in arms and ready to grab their torches and pitchforks because of the passing over of Xavier Worthy and of Xavier Legette and others. So fair point. Roy saying even the pumpkin on the tree is smiling. Yeah, little pumpkin topper for the Halloween tree. Well done, Roy. I appreciate you always recognizing the tree and shouting it out. Andrew saying his one-handed catch reminded me of his college tape. Yeah, he had some highlight reel plays in college at Florida State, even at Michigan State too, especially that one-hander at Florida State this past year. I believe it's Syracuse, I think. And yeah, some highlight blocks. Again, we're going to dive into all that in this episode. Just so in case people don't know, this episode, we are going to dive into every one of his targets against the Seattle Seahawks, every one of his receptions, and then several other plays that I think really showcase who and what he is right now. So not necessarily reps where he was targeted or he got the ball or was open or anything like that, but reps that are showing who and what he is in terms of positives, in terms of areas of opportunity where he can improve. We're also going to take a look at some of the blocks that he had from this game in Seattle. So really diving into who and what he is holistically. We have 13 plays to dive into tonight. So I think this is really going to put some things into perspective. I thought it was 13, but I couldn't remember specifically. And I didn't want to lie. Suspinar saying, I don't like the comparison because it's Dwayne Carter's erasure. We don't get him without the trade. I'm still a little down on Dwayne Carter. I know he's had some flashes and some really big flashes, especially, with more volume against Houston, the big fourth down stop against Tennessee. I'm still very meh on Dwayne Carter. I think he's been kind of more replacement level and just a guy more so than a guy that I'm happy they took in the third round. I do think his ceiling is limited, but it's super early on. I'm not going to judge a rookie as a rookie. As a rule of thumb, you really don't kind of make any concrete assertions on a player until year 3. So we got a long time left for Dwayne Carter to really kind of round into form. But I'm not too high on Carter right now as of this moment. But, we'll kind of see. What's up, Lauren? Miss you on Twitter. Lauren says, Halloween decorations are fire. No surprises there. You always bring the heat. I like that. Well done. I can't take all the credit. A lot of this is my wife, her picking out stuff at the store. She sets up a lot and does the decor. She did the garland around the tree to make sure it was even. She put the pumpkin topper on, some of the stuff in the background. Yeah, I can't take a lot of credit for that, but I appreciate you. Oh, Roy saying I was not big on Coleman coming out of the draft. So far, he's been better than I thought he'd be. Mixed bag with him. My thing with Coleman was always just you have the physical tools and the traits, but he did not have the refinement. He did not have the technicality, and he was very inexperienced and raw. So I thought there was a wide gamut, long spectrum, opposite ends where he could end up. I would not be surprised if he becomes a high-end wide receiver 2 or, a legit low-tier to maybe even mid-tier wide receiver 1. Or I could see him being out of the league in like 3-4 years, or I could see him being the guy that keeps getting 1-year deals after his rookie contract because somebody keeps thinking that they can finally crack the code and get him to be what his potential showed that he could be. Just a lot of potential options, which made his evaluation a particularly fun one. RJ saying, I'm nervous that Carter has looked better than Oliver this year, even at a replacement level. Not sure what advanced metrics say. I don't know what the advanced metrics say completely, but I would not say that at all. Carter has been a ghost when it comes to pass rush, very minimal production on tape and with the metrics. He's getting blown off by double teams, not splitting them, getting displaced regularly. I know Ed Oliver hasn't had the strongest of years on tape or especially with the stats and metrics, but I wouldn't say Carter has looked better than Oliver. I wouldn't even be nervous of that for myself personally. Like in just watching the tape alone, I don't think Carter has looked better than Oliver or close to him in any way, shape, or form. Oh, this is awesome from Joe. Joe and I were talking about play action going into the pass game against Seattle after myself and Mina Kimes talked about it in my episode last week, or one of my episodes last week, because I did 2. And Joe tied it into the one pie pizza reference that I always make during the show for the sponsor. I always shout him out for having a tremendous cheese to sauce ratio. And Joe says that first play action pass had the perfect cheese to sauce ratio. That's very well done. I like that. Oh, well done from Sal. Coleman is a lot like Josh. Great potential, needs refinement. I think that's fair. Mark saying, I'm thrilled. 8 games into the season, getting healthier. Let's hope the offense continues to grow. Jeremy says, go Buffalo Bills. Keep feeding everyone. Seriously, this is working. New crew, learning each other, but keeping Josh safe from carrying where needed. Oh, this is great from Jason. And then we'll get started. Jason says, I'm worried about where does the Christmas tree go from here? Did it peak too early? How could the Christmas decor possibly top this Halloween decor? I'm going to be honest, Jason. I really dig this tree, and I'm even going to pull down your comment here a little bit. So I really just dig it. The little jack-o'-lantern lights, the black garland with the little ghost, the pumpkin topper. I'm really digging the tree and this decor. So I think that's a fair point. I think what helps the Christmas decor is the little tree goes over there, and then I bring out the big tree. So it feels a bit more festive, but I'm kind of in lockstep with you. I'm really digging this Halloween tree. I actually have more Halloween garland that's like black and purple and orange that I didn't bust out. So yeah, and RJ says it too. I seriously love the tree in Halloween mode too. Yeah, man, I'm really conflicted. It's funny that you guys said that. I literally said it to my wife the other day. I was like, the Halloween setup bangs. Like, I don't know where we go from here. So that's a very fair point. Very fair point. But I do know where we go from here in terms of this episode. And where we go from here is into the tape to look at some pieces for Keon Coleman. So again, you folks can't see me. I am off screen. Technically, I could do this and you could see me, or I could do this and you could see me. But I want the full screen view for you folks here. But I can see everything in the comments. So questions, thoughts, comments, concerns. Roy says the big tree is going to be going up soon, right? Yeah, once we start to hit middle-ish November, then we start to fully switch into Christmas mode and really start get it popping here. Yeah, absolutely, Roy. I love the tree comments in action from everybody in the chat. You have no idea how much that makes my day. We should just talk about the tree instead of football. I like that. Oh, well done. Well done, everyone. Appreciate you folks. But again, any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, anything you folks got, put it up into the chat. I'll keep checking it in between plays and sporadically. If I don't get to anything, I apologize in advance, but I will try my bestest. Get at me on Twitter if there's anything I do miss, or put into the comments on YouTube or wherever else you can find me. Reddit, the Cover One Discord, anything and anything that you folks got. Jason says the wife needs to stay humble and hungry even after this extreme success. You guys are crushing it tonight. This chat is phenomenal. Well done, folks. All right, this first play, nothing crazy on this one. This is just a snag concept from the Bills. So Keon Coleman is the number 1 receiver here. He's the only receiver to this side right now with the Bills in a 4x1, but you're going to get a motion from Khalil Shakir, and Coleman's going to be the number 1. So you're going to get a snag route from him, and then you're going to get an arrow route or a flat route from Khalil Shakir. Pretty basic standard snag concept. Sometimes, if defenses or offenses, I should say, want to stretch vertical and be able to add another element, you'll see this out of a 3 receiver look, basically a 3-man concept where you'll get a corner route from the number 2 receiver and then an arrow or the flat route from the running back or the number 3 receiver. Here, we're just going to get the snag and arrow combination. 4x1 pre-snap from the Buffalo Bills over here. You see, I think I just said 4x1, or did I say 3? Yeah, we got 1, we got 2, we got 3, we got 4 men here for the Buffalo Bills to the top of the screen, and then Keon Coleman all by his lonesome to the bottom of the screen. And what we're going to get here is the 4x1 into a motion to a 2-man set to the bottom of the screen. Seattle's going to show zone. It looks like it's cover 6 post snap with cover 4 to the bottom of the screen. You'll see the corner to the bottom down here and the safety here. So Joe and Bryant signaling to each other once we get Shakir in motion. And then we're going to watch how the flat defender triggers to Shakir and Keon Coleman replaces him. So let's play this play. Here comes Khalil Shakir with some motion across the formation. Again, nothing crazy. Coleman just reading, flowing, seeing the zone. Watch this flat defender immediately trigger down to the flat on the route from Khalil Shakir. What's nice is, so Coleman, all he's going to do, he's just going to kind of sit right here. A little snag route, a little short hitch. He's just finding the space in the zone. What I do like is right here on this freeze frame, look at Keon. He's already eyeing up this flat defender. Again, this isn't the most groundbreaking or jaw-dropping thing, but this is a nice element to his game. Just reading, seeing that triggering flat defender, and okay, let me get tight to him. He's already turning before that flat defender completely clears him, and he just sits right in the space. Allen finds him, tries to make some moves upfield, ducks under a tackle. Nice element in action here. Also, in case anyone cares, um, the route to Shakir is the primary read. So, and you can even see it when you look at Allen, but Shakir is the primary read on this one. So once Allen sees that he's covered and has that flat defender triggering down on him, he gets to Keon and he hits Keon. The Bills run this concept and idea a lot. You'll often see this snag route down here at the bottom with that rail route or that wheel route from the running back, usually James Cook coming out of the backfield. So this snag route can be more than just a regular route. You'll see it being an obstruction or a rub route for that running back coming out of the backfield. And even here, it is a little bit too, but Witherspoon does a really good job right here of being that flat defender. Again, looks like cover 6, post snap. Looks like we got a cloud corner up here. We got the flat defender here, and then quarter and a quarter here. So once he sees that, again, Keon doesn't obstruct him. Witherspoon gets right to the flat. Keon keeps it tight to him, works off of him, IDs it, watching in real time. Boom, just sits. Nothing crazy. First target, first reception for Mr. Keon Coleman in this one for the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to go back to the chat in case anybody's saying anything. Okay, fun. I like this from Jason saying, imagine a film room being about film and not the tree. I know, ridiculous. That would actually kind of awesome. Oh, this is great from Lauren. She says the route tree, but it's just about planning out the holiday decor for the tree. I like that a lot. That's the best. Well done. Oh, I like this from Jim Jack saying, everyone put your mouse or finger over the thumbs up and press the like or the down. Are you saying down? You saying down vote? Why would you say that? That's mean. I think that's what this means. If I'm reading this correctly, that's really hurtful. I don't like that at all. I don't think we should get down votes. That's mean and hurtful. Next play that we're going to get into for Mr. Keon Coleman. If I can get back to my page here. All right, this second one, another catch for Coleman. This is an option concept that the Buffalo Bills like to run. Again, we've seen this a bunch from them, especially with Khalil Shakir in the slot like he is here. If you want a representation of what this is, think back to the Bengals game last year. Khalil Shakir cooked Mike Hilton on this route. It's basically just Shakir having the option to kind of do whatever he wants on this play. This route by Coleman is pretty much a clear out, and then Shakir is going to kind of follow him, see the leverage of the man inside, see what's happening outside, and then figure out where he wants to go. Usually how it plays out is Shakir coming up here and faking like he's going around it, trying to get the defender to go over the top with it, and then he slams on the brakes and comes back inside. But that's not what happens on this play. What happens on this one, again, Shakir is the primary. Witherspoon actually does a pretty good job of taking it away. Josh Allen is going to scan to the other side of the field, but there's nothing there. This play is pretty much just Keon Coleman being big and athletic on his clear out route and then doing something really nice that we're going to get into once he sees Allen start to evade. Part of the reason why I titled this episode Bully Ball, and it's on the graphic, I think Keon Coleman's physicality and the length and the strength and the size and the athleticism are really starting to play these past several weeks. It played in this one in terms of how he was winning when he was getting the ball, in terms of some of the blocks that he had here. So I think the physicality is really starting to show, and I think this is a good example of that kind of bully ball nature and aspect of him. So again, he takes off. He's just this clear out route here. He's going to get jammed from the corner. So the corner's in a press alignment. Now, just because you're in press, that doesn't mean you're in jam. I talk about it all the time. You can be in press and not be jamming. You can be in a soft shoe or a true press. Soft shoe is you're kind of more just mirroring the wide receiver and using your feet more than your hands. Or you can be in a true press, which is more of your traditional jam. Get your hands on the receiver, try and reroute him. You're going to get that a little bit here from Job. Doesn't really give ground too much. Gets both hands on Coleman. Coleman fights through that two-hand jam. You even see a little bit of a rip there from Keon. Nice that he's got the alternating colored gloves with the cleats, but you're going to see, watch that outside hand rip through, tries to get low, powers through the hands. Again, just being big, strong, athletic. You see him carry upfield. He even gets a little bit of a piece of Witherspoon, but Witherspoon, again, does a good job here, taking away Shakir. So Allen's like, okay, doesn't have that there. He saw it initially anyway. If you watch Josh Allen in the backfield, see he's looking here, but a little muddy on this. Can see Allen's already off it here and coming to the middle because he sees Shakir's coming here and Witherspoon has leverage. So he's like, all right, cool. Let me look towards the bottom of the screen. Nothing to the bottom of the screen, but let's keep focusing on Keon. Big, strong, athletic, all in this. Fights through the corner, fights through Witherspoon, doesn't lose his balance. So you see some of that athleticism playing with the size and the strength. Job is going to fall down. Now, this is the nice piece that I like, that I really want to highlight and shout him out for. Again, just being big, strong, athletic, all that kind of stuff, which is nice. But watch, eyes are in the backfield. He's watching Josh Allen. So now let's also watch Josh Allen. Allen starts to evade, so he's already out. Keon, because his eyes are in the backfield, he sees that Allen is starting to evade, and watch Keon up top see that from Allen and immediately go, okay, let me work to space. Let me go find grass. Cornerback falls down, wasn't able to keep his feet like Keon was, gets open. Allen throws it on the run, and then some nice follow through and athleticism with that. Makes the catch, keeps coming forward, breaks the tackle, gets upfield, tries to make a move, gets stopped. Nice gain, nice chunk play off script. We're watching in real time a couple times. Again, just being, sometimes it's simple. Big and strong and athletic, but the savviness and the off-script ability is really what I like on this one, in addition to the size and frame and all that kind of stuff. And that's something we saw at Florida State, the ability to kind of work off-script, to be able to get into the quarterback's field of vision and make a play in the scramble drill. He talked about it either in a presser or in that behind the scene type deal when he was sitting with McDermott and Bean at the combine. This is a nice aspect of his game. This is nice. Find that space, get your eyes to the quarterback, see that he's in a bit of trouble, and you go help him. Nice. Really nice from Keon on that piece. In addition to, again, a little bit of the bully ball nature. Just powering through a two-hand jam from an outside corner. Nope, I'm just going to rip through. You're going to stumble. I'm going to keep my feet. Big, strong, athletic, but also aware, making a QB-friendly play for his quarterback. Nice job from Keon on that play there. Let's dive back into... Oh, okay. Appreciate you, Jim. Jim clarified. He said, no, press down on the like. Thank you very much on that. Somebody, I mentioned it in the comment earlier before anybody was here. Somebody already downvoted this episode before we went live, so I'm a little gun shy in this one, Jim. So I appreciate you for that. So yeah, if you folks have not already and you are enjoying this episode, please, and thank you, drop a like here for this show. These likes are the lifeblood for these live streams. They tremendously help myself and the entire team to track and trend in front of more eyes and ears. So please, if you have not already, please, and thank you, drop a like on this video. I like this from Joe. Find the leverage of the man inside. That 100% sounds like some Radiohead lyrics, or even some like solo Tom York stuff. I feel like that might be, but I like where your head's at. I like that a lot. Oh, I appreciate you, Jim. Jim says, I have all good things to say about you guys at Cover One. That's awesome. Thank you very much. I see some Yankee comments. I'm avoiding things. I don't want any spoilers, but feel free to talk amongst yourselves if you would like. Brandon says, should we make a move and at what position? Defensive tackle for me, a little bit banged up there. And even with that, I'm not the highest on Dwayne Carter. I'm not the highest on Austin Johnson, even though Austin Johnson had some nice moments in this past game. And I did like what Elianku did against the run, specifically taking on double teams, holding strong at the point of attack, deconstructing some blocks, but his pass rush upside is very minimal. He's more of a straight niche player. So I would say defensive tackle, or if there was some way they could get like a top tier safety. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would also take that, which would be a nice little fun element. But I'll keep it low and I'll say, just give me a rotational defensive tackle. We talked about it a bit on the film room last week. I've been a bit down on the defensive line this year. Going into the past week, they had an interior defensive pressure rate of 5.9%. Now that factors in linebackers who were lined up in A gaps and things like that, but it speaks to the lack of interior pressure the Bills have generated. And Ed hasn't looked tremendous. Daquan hasn't looked like the all-pro that he was last year before he got hurt. Both have been fine, but not the studs that they kind of need them to be. And then I think the rotational guys have been even more questionable. So I'm going to say defensive tackle with a secondary piece of safety, just because I love safeties and I know there's some potential available ones, but we'll kind of see. Oh, good thing here from Lauren saying that feels like a basketball player move, working to get open space and box out. You're not wrong with that kind of thought there. And we know Keon, being the basketball player that he was and or still kind of is, depending on how you want to verbalize it. Yeah, he understands how to use his body positioning, whether it's at the catch point in the field, at the catch point in the end zone, kind of making himself bigger, playing to that, almost like he's kind of in the low post, wanting that ball, calling to the point guard to throw it to him, throwing that hand up. Yeah, good call. Good call there, Lauren. Well done. Well done. Choppin says Jeffrey Simmons. If they got Jeffrey Simmons, boo, goodness gracious, I would do some kind of dance and it would be a happy one. It would be a happy one. All right, let's go into this next play. This next one is just an incomplete play to Keon on a fade against Tariq Woolen. It comes 2 plays before the touchdown against Tariq Woolen, which we're always going to get into, which we're also going to get into here, I should say. You see Josh Allen alerting based on what he sees. Coleman acknowledges it. We are going to get Allen dropping back. And he's going to chuck one up here to Keon. I'll leave it paused on there. And we'll talk about this a little bit here. So on this fade, again, Allen alerts to it. This play could have actually been completed. It goes incomplete, but it could have been a reception. I would, if I'm Keon or just a receiver in general, I would like this ball to be a little bit more above Keon's head so he can go up and get it instead of having to go up and reach back. But maybe his stem was off from where Allen thought he was going to be. Either way, so maybe it's a miscommunication, maybe it's a bit of poor ball placement, but it makes this catch a little bit more difficult because Keon has to go up and reach back to try and make this catch. But it's still a pretty athletic play that he goes up. He's able to get hands on it. At first, I thought it was just a drop, but Woolen actually does a good job of getting his arm between Keon's hands and raking through the ball for the breakup. And then you're going to see Tariq Woolen talk some smack to Keon Coleman. Also, just for reference, I looked this up because of a tweet from Dom Biondi, who is a Discord member and follows me on Twitter. Tariq Woolen, 6'4", 205 pounds. That 6'4" is 99th percentile. His weight, 90th percentile. His wingspan is 89th percentile. Arm length, 97th percentile. 10-yard split, 90th. 40-yard dash, 99th. Vertical jump, 97. So Tariq Woolen is a specimen. He's got length, he's got size, he's got speed, he's got tenacity and physicality. So this wasn't an easy matchup for Keon in this one. But you'll see here, so I kept it freeze framed. You see the ball, Keon goes up for it, and there you go. Again, it kind of already is coming off the fingertips there. You can see it a little bit, like Keon doesn't have it in the palm of his hands. But this is really good from Woolen, using that wingspan, using those long arms, and you can see it's right there in between Keon's to break up this pass, make it difficult. It's already, again, a bit difficult. You got to go up. You got a defender hanging on you. You got to reach back and try and bring this in. And then Woolen, again, really good job. Here's Keon's one arm. Here's the other. I know those lines are muddying it up further, but Woolen's arm is right in between both of Keon's arms. And then you're going to watch Woolen kind of just rake through and make this incomplete. Keon goes to the ground, and then Tariq says, "How you doing? What are you wearing for Halloween? Oh, that's your costume. Cool." I like this intensity. I like dudes jawing at each other and giving it to one another. Football is a super intense sport based on violence and physicality, and these guys work their butts off all year round. I like the intensity. I like the trash talk. So you will see guys get flagged. I just noticed this on this too. Like Woolen gives him the cutthroat. I think he gives him the cutthroat. Kind of hard to see what his thumb is doing, but he gives him that cutthroat action. That usually gets flagged. I don't like it getting flagged. I don't want it to get flagged. I'm just kind of pointing it out that he maybe could have been, because they usually flag that cutthroat motion. I got no problem with it. It's like a faster version of what The Undertaker does when he says he's going for the tombstone. But one last time here, again, going up, bit behind him, almost makes this catch, which would have been spectacular, but a little bit off between Allen and Keon, and then a really good play from Tariq Woolen, who then proceeds to talk smack to Keon Coleman. Now we're going to go right into the next play, which is the touchdown pass to Keon Coleman against Tariq Woolen. This is literally 2 plays later. You're going to see this pass. It's a bit more in front of Keon / a little bit more over his head versus the previous ball from Allen. This is an absolutely ridiculous catch. We're going to watch it from this angle. I'm going to show the other angles as well, because not only does Keon go up and one-hand this ball, he also catches Tariq Woolen's arm with the ball, which is just nuts. Like, this play overall is just crazy. Also, from a schematic perspective, this one is a run play with a pass tag. So the Bills are running duo on this play. You watch the offensive line and everybody attached to it. They are run blocking here on this play, but there is a pass tag to Keon Coleman. And all that means is you have a run play call, and then you have the acknowledgement of the pass tag between the quarterback and the wide receiver. And based on what the quarterback is seeing in the box, seeing with numbers, he may throw the pass tag or he might keep it as is, as called, and give it to the running back. We saw this exact situation play out last week against the Tennessee Titans in the fourth quarter. That big, whatever it was, 50-something yard catch to Keon Coleman towards the end of the fourth quarter when the Bills were backed up a bit in their own end zone. That was duo with a pass tag. Same thing. Allen threw it to Keon. Keon plucked it on a little slant, broke a tackle, and took off. We also saw it against Houston several weeks before where it didn't work out, where Allen thought the pass tag was on and understood. Keon did not. Allen threw it, and it conked Keon right in the helmet logo. So we're starting to see some more rapport start to be built between the two of them, a little bit more trust. And again, just ridiculous. This is another bully ball type play. If you want to use that verbiage, or you want to say Coleman mossed Woolen, whatever you want, this is size, this is strength, this is athleticism, this is hands. This is ridiculous, this play here. I'm going to go in slow-mo. So again, plays it, takes off on the fade. Allen puts a good ball again. See where this one is for Keon. Keon's able to go more up straight for this one instead of the previous one where he had to go up and then kind of reach back a little bit. There's the one hand. Again, this catch is just wild. One hand, boom, traps it immediately. And so you see that and you're like, oh, okay, like that's a pretty good play. And then also we get, again, remember, Woolen 2 plays before, got the breakup on Keon, talked to him a little bit, gave him that cutthroat. And this is Keon just being very gentlemanly. Hey, man, you tried. Good job. Good play, 27. I love that. And then we get the camera cuts it off. Good ball spin from Keon, but we don't get to really fully see it. I'm going to let this run here. Again, there's Allen calling Kincaid over. This is a run play. Watch the offensive line block. There we go. You see Cook taking off. This is just pure numbers and Allen thinking, I like my guy one-on-one on the outside. This is what you bring in Keon Coleman for at this point in his career. This is what you want from him at this point, as a rookie or early stages of his career where he doesn't have the refinement. He doesn't have the technicality. He doesn't have the precision in his game. So you want him to be able to lean into his strengths, which are size and strength and athleticism and hands, the contested catchability. You want him playing like a power forward in the low post. That's what this play is. Him going up, scraping a rebound off the glass. That's what you want. You want him banging on the boards in the low post. That's what he affords you here. He affords you this ability where if you think you have a one-on-one matchup, instead of playing the run, even against a Seattle team whose run fits have not been good and their front structure was wildly poor in this game, you're looking at the numbers if you're Allen. You're saying, you know what? I'm going to take the one-on-one on the outside to my guy. This is what he affords you that the Bills have not had previously in years past, in their wide receiver room, I should say. Here's Allen putting this ball up. This end zone angle really shows it. Good trajectory. Gets it over Dodson and Leonard Williams, 99. Watch Coleman just go up, and you'll see it. Again, this is good defense by Woolen. He's in good position. He could jump and time it a little better, but he sees Coleman go up. His arm is right there. And if you notice, you can see because Keon has the tape on his forearms and his elbow, that white sticks out. You can see that Woolen's hand is underneath, or his arm is underneath Coleman's hand. So like I said, Coleman not only one hand catches this ball, he also does it while catching Woolen's arm. Like this is ridiculous of a catch. Look at that. He's got that's hand. Okay. That's forearm down to elbow. The ball is like right here. And within that is Tariq Woolen's arm. So Keon Coleman is one hand catching the ball and Woolen's arm at the same time. Look at that. Keep going in slow-mo. Catches it. Has it trapped. Has it pinned. Gets his other hand underneath it to secure. Now he's got two hands on the ball to just Woolen's one arm. And then look at him, brings it, slams that arm down. That's also the nice piece too, right? Let's kind of back it up a little bit. I want to showcase that as he starts to bring it in. He catches, so he secures it with the second hand, the left hand with the red glove. But watch him now start to take it with that left hand. And then he uses this right arm here that's by Woolen's arm. and watch him, rip it off him while he's holding that ball with the left hand. The hand-eye coordination, the athleticism, how smooth this is. Like, this whole play is wild from Keon. And then again, Woolen's like, man, he caught that. And Keon's like, yeah, it's okay, man. I'm going as a leprechaun for Halloween. What are you going to be? Oh, you're going to be Spider-Man? Cool, man. Have fun. Tap on the head. Nice. Oh, and then you see Torrance coming through, right? Watch. Watch Torrance. I'm sorry to spend so much time on this play, but this one's wild. Like, this is wild. And this is why you get Keon Coleman. The fact that he's starting to play to this level is nice early on as a rookie, which I'm going to speak about at the end. At the end, I should say, watch Torrance coming from, well, I don't know what happened there. Watch Torrance coming from the side here. Here he comes. I'll go slow so you can pick up. There's Torrance. There's Torrance tapping him on the head. Tapping on the head to let him know, oh, yeah, you just went over the top on dude. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. That's good stuff. I'll play from the sideline angle one more time in real time. Nuts. Tremendous. Again, that takes hand-eye coordination. That takes athleticism. That takes strength. That's bully ball. Again, part of why this episode is titled that. Size, strength, length, frame, athleticism. Man. Tying in that basketball background, Lauren, if you're still here, you mentioned it on that previous play, him kind of finding the open space and boxing out. Again, this is the kind of the analogy I use. Like, you're running pick and roll. Dude is attached to your hip. Point guard puts it up. You go up, you catch it, you come back down, you go up, you put it up, or ball's coming off the board or it hits the rim. You're scraping the glass. You're bringing that rebound in. This is really nice. One more time. Sorry, this play is wild. Whew. Bananas. Let's go to the chat because I know I was gone for a little bit there. RJ says, I remember how much I was screaming to get Woolen here in the draft. Still mad about that. He's a good corner. Just came back from injury. I like the tenacity. He's a good corner. And him and Witherspoon are a fun combo in Seattle, even though their defense has fallen off a cliff this year, but he's a good dude. Let's go. Going back a little bit. RJ says, I think the Giants owe us Dexter Lawrence. I like that. I'd take it. 809 says, when was the last time Josh had a big body one-on-one receiver before Coleman? Oh, okay. Those are the Kelvin Benjamin jokes I saw coming through later there. Yeah, I don't think he's really had one. And again, he really hasn't. His success has come with true separators. Beasley, Diggs, these guys who are declarative separators, who win early, who win often, make it easy on him. He really hasn't been like a jump ball contested catch type thrower and hasn't really had those body types. And when he did, he wasn't overly successful. But again, those guys weren't necessarily prime guys. And he was also early in his career. Fair point. K. Omori says, there are flags for, quote, improper conversation with an official these days. Anything can be flagged. Yeah, I hate it. Again, I'm not looking for guys to get hurt or wild displays happening on the field, but these guys put their body on the line literally every single play in a sport where the goal is to get as big and as strong and as fast as you can, and then put on equipment to physically dominate another guy who's trying to get as big and as strong and as fast as he can, who's also putting on equipment to try and destroy you. And these guys train, 300 days a year for that. 275 days of the year for that. They go through hell. They have to manage pain, the mental part that goes into it. So I just think it's wild that they go through all that. And then if they do too elaborate of a celebration, it's not allowed. Lauren says the throat slash seems more flaggable than Josh pointing at a defender as he runs into the end zone. That's right. He was flagged for that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure when that throat slash has been called to, it's fallen under the unsportsmanlike conduct umbrella. And that throat slash has always been called. I remember that happened in the late 90s, the Brett Favre Packer days. Either he did it or someone did it to him. Warren Sapp maybe sacked him and did the throat slash and got flagged for it. That's always been flagged in the NFL. So yeah, I got no problem with it, but Seth saying, yeah, the refs must get paid by number of flags they throw. It could be a quota. Yeah, Jim Jack, he pointed it out. He transferred it to his left hand. Brilliant. Wild. Ooh, I like this one from JCZO. Darius Slayton from New York. Go get him. I welcome his speed. I will never say no to speed. And I think he's a bit of an underrated receiver for the Giants. Had a good night last night. Sespinar says, for these type of contested catches, is 50% good? What's considered elite? 70%? It's hard to break it down because it fluctuates year by year. If you are a consistent 50-50 ball winner in terms of literally being around 50%, that is good. I always kind of go, this is kind of arbitrary for me, but I go off of that T. Higgins line where he says, I make 50-50 balls, 80-20 balls. So if you're operating at 70% or above, that's definitely considered elite. I would consider 60 to 65 elite. If you have contested catch situations and you're winning them and you're coming down with that ball 6 out of 10 times, at least that's elite to me. But 50-50 or 50% would be good. Because again, it's a 50-50 ball. And once you get over that, that's definitely better. Jim Jack saying, I love Coleman's mismatched glove and cleats. Yeah, I like it. I like a little bit opposite there. How it's done saying best catch of his young career. I agree. Yeah, Lauren pointed out the way he secures it and doesn't bobble it at all as he comes down is so impressive. Yeah, that transfer is just wild. No, Bannerman saying Duke Williams. Yeah, big bodied receiver, jump ball guy. Jim Jack. So I was right. He was saying, yeah, it was Favre. He used to take his helmet off too. Yeah, Favre was wild. Maybe he was doing that throat slash. Yeah, it's good times. Good times. All right, let's keep going through here. Next play here. This is a block from Keon Coleman. I wanted to include these here again in terms of the total package. I've seen some hyperbolic statements on his blocking from this game. I don't know if it's grades or just the highlight stuff. I thought he had several really good blocks in this game. We're going to look at 3 of them in this game, but I think a lot of his blocks were just kind of standard fare. He did have 3 plus blocks where he's at the point of attack and he's legitimately making a difference. But overall, I didn't think he was some run blocking monster like it's kind of being made out to be, but he definitely had a good performance. This is his block here on a weak side mid zone run for the Buffalo Bills. This one is just about his positioning. And then once he attaches, he stays on his man and he drives him. So this is a nice one from Keon Coleman. This is an aspect in various ways too. This run play, I've talked about it on Twitter. I've talked about it on shows. The Bills run this all the time. Technically, you got here, this is, I know it's not traditional 3-by-1, but you got one. Anderson's the 6th offensive lineman, but kind of quote unquote tight end. So 1, 2, 3, 1 over here. Brady loves taking a receiver from the 3-by-1 side, jet motioning them across the field to the weak side. That is the weak side, the pre-snap weak side, and then running mid zone to that weak side / to that jet motion side. And that's what you get here on this play. Actually, that's not what you get here on this play. It's just your standard 3-by-1, and then they go weak side mid zone. Oh, that's on the next one. Oh, I read my wrong notes. So weak side mid zone run. Here's Coleman up here against Woolen. Again, they're battling. They're going to war with one another. Woolen actually has inside positioning. He's up, manned up on Coleman. But watch, Coleman's going to go through, and then Coleman starts to turn and get his eyes to this run. So does Woolen, actually. But watch the physicality, the length, and the strength to start to take over for Keon. Turns, gets his body in between Woolen and James Cook, keeps his hands attached, stays engaged, and gets some good drive. This is nice from Keon Coleman. That's really nice. Play it one more time. Again, nothing crazy to kind of break down here. Just a weak side mid-zone run. Good blocking from Keon Coleman. That's also nice too. Using your size and your strength to pay dividends in the run game as a blocker. Really nice. Positioning and drive. Stay attached. Keep working. Keep working. Teammates love that kind of stuff too. That's the stuff that shows up on tape when you're watching it with your position group and the coaches are shouting you out for that. That's a really nice element. This next one is something that I would like him to work on a bit more. I also have a comparison with a route from Marvin Harrison Jr. that I want to show you folks as well. So this is an example of something I'd like to see differently from Keon Coleman, just more deception in his stems, in his route running in general, but more deception in his stem. So you see him breaking, he's running a deep over. The angle's terrible, but I can't draw it given the angle that we're on with the camera here. But you can see he's actually fighting through a pretty good hold right there from Witherspoon. But watch as he goes. So he starts to stem this vertical, and then he looks to this side, and he keeps going to this side. It's not terrible. You're running that way. The corner kind of went that way due to momentum, of kind of slingshotting himself around you, but you're going that way. The corner is able to stay underneath you. He's in lockstep with you. Allen's looking somewhere else, but that's how Coleman runs the route. Okay. Now to juxtapose that, I want to show this example from the same week from Marvin Harrison Jr. against the Seattle Seahawks. Similar against the Seattle Seahawks. Oh, I'm flubbing everything here. Against the Miami Dolphins. Yikes. So there's Marvin Harrison Jr. over there, highlighted by the arrow. Now watch Harrison Jr. run this over route. Okay. Inside release. Now he's running the over. Watch him briefly stem this vertical, and look where he's looking. Similar to what Keon did, right? Keon was looking this way, and he continued this way. Harrison briefly stems upfield, so the timing of the stem and the break is really nice, but it's the eyes and the deception. He looks this way because he's going this way. So it's that brief stem upfield from Harrison Jr., along with the eyes. There's the eyes and the head. I'm going there. Psych. I'm going to snap it, and I'm going to break across field. And look at the separation that creates. Harrison Jr. is tremendous at that. He did it in training camp, preseason. He's doing it in games now. One more time there. I just happened to pick this because I also watched this game, and this play was fresh in my head. But this is what I'd like to see more for Keon. Just lie. If you're going left, sell like you're going right. If you're going vertical, sell like you're going short. If you're going short, sell like you're going vertical. That more nuance, more refinement, more of the technical aspects to his game, potentially starting to come through a little bit. But let's get, where are we here? There we go. But again, let's juxtapose that with Keon here. So if he's going this way, instead of looking here already, it would be nice if he sold it like he was going here. Start to turn and look this way briefly. Maybe you do that, and Witherspoon is like, oh, he's breaking on a corner. Maybe he goes that way, and right as he goes that way, you snap and you come across the middle and you start to clear. Just more things. It's subtle things. More deception. Again, this will come with time. He's not there yet as a product, as a pass catcher, as a route runner. Again, all the things that I've echoed since he was drafted. Stem work, releases, the route tree, the refinement, the technicality, the feet coming in and out of breaks. All those aspects to clean up and be more of a precise, refined wide receiver. Those things will come in time. This is something Amari Cooper is tremendous at, deception in his stem. So even though he's lost a step versus last year, in my opinion, talking about Amari Cooper, he's still able to win because he's able to operate with that deception. So I'd like Keon, if he's going this way, instead of looking that way, let's look over here. Sell with some body language, sell with some eyes, sell with your head a little bit, instead of just looking that way and then going that way. Ball ends up going to Kincaid, incomplete. This next one for Mr. Keon Coleman is a 4 vertical look versus what is a Tampa 2 from Seattle. I actually like how they get to this Tampa 2. It's disguised as single high pre-snap, and then what you're going to get, as we'll let the play run here, I'll start to show you. Witherspoon from the slot is going to drop as a split field player, split field safety. Bryant's going to go as the other split field safety, and then Love, their third safety on the field, is going to get into that middle third as the Tampa player, that pole runner. He reads Allen's eyes and just keeps coming this way. But I like how they get to that. So they disguise this look. And what you're going to see here, I like Keon to get rerouted less by the corner to the bottom of the screen. Corners in those Tampa 2 cover 2 looks, anytime you have a cloud corner, they want to reroute you. They want to get you off your line. They want to push you to the sideline. They want to disrupt timing. If they're doing their job, that's what they're trying to do. Coleman actually doesn't get rerouted too much, but you see sideways movement from him in avoiding that reroute. So he kind of takes himself offline a little bit, kind of takes himself out of rhythm a little bit, but Allen still makes an absolute dot of a throw. And this one actually should have been the catch. It should have been a catch. It's not the easiest catch in the world, but realistically, this could have been a catch, a highlight level catch, but a catch nonetheless. So let's watch it here, and you'll see we run here. There goes the shift to Tampa 2. So, okay, now here's the corner holding his ground. He wants to reroute Coleman. You'll see Coleman tries to tuck that inside shoulder, and he's trying to tuck this inside shoulder so he can stay tight and then get upfield. But he gets a little too sideways, and then you see the arms fail a little bit. So just a little bit inefficient in his movement. I'd like to see him kind of play through that shoulder with just straight up physicality. If you can, you're bigger, you're stronger than him. It's nice to kind of win with the quickness and, let me shake this guy with my release. Just this one, play bully ball more on this one. Go through that shoulder, kind of play through those hands, play through that shoulder like he did earlier on the clear out route that we showed where he ran through this same corner. But gets rerouted a little bit. taken offline, gets upfield, the corner sinks with him. Allen just delivers a dot, and you see Coleman go up for it, and it hits him right in the paws, and he drops it. Yeah, nothing nuts. Not the easiest catch in the world. I know he's got to go up and get it. He's got to track it, but this realistically could have been a catch. It would have been a highlight reel level catch, but this one could have been a catch. Instead, oops, sorry everyone. Instead, it falls incomplete. Go back to the beginning. There we go. See, and you can kind of feel it in real time, that reroute, right? Like just, it doesn't feel very smooth. You can feel him kind of have to step and go sideways and go around. It doesn't feel tight. It doesn't feel concise. You can feel the inefficiency in real time as you watch it. I also think maybe he didn't have to jump for this one, not to nitpick this one to death too much, but if maybe he could have just kept going and caught it. But either way, this falls incomplete. See, the reroute goes up, just can't bring it in. One last thing to nitpick. The hands, he goes for kind of that basket catch type instead of maybe turning his hands the other way and trying to bring it in. I'm always down for guys catching it however they want to, whatever you're most comfortable with. If you're a body catcher, be a body catcher. If you're a diamond catcher, be a diamond catcher. If you're a basket guy, be a basket guy or an underhanded catch, whatever. I don't know how much that contributes to the drop on this one, but we do see that drop. And man, Keon's had a couple of these up the sideline in some contested form and fashion for contested catches. If he brings in a couple of these, like the one against Baltimore, this one, there's another one that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. I think maybe against Houston, there's some plays that he's kind of left on the table that if he comes down with these, man, his numbers and his highlight reel plays skyrocket for him. Going to go into another one. Saw some more comments here. Kay Morty says, stop calling it Twitter, and Elon wants to call it X. I'm going to forever call it Twitter. I can't stop. I'm still calling the Raiders Oakland. I still call the Chargers San Diego. Not on purpose. It's just like drilled into my brain. It's so hard. Like the Oakland A's are going to be Oakland A's. Like it's going to be so hard for me to call them the Las Vegas A's. Like it's just tough. RJ saying Coleman blew up a couple of DBs at the line blocking this game. He did. We're going to get to those in a minute. DF Forever says, question, guys, does Coleman have a ceiling of a number one? I think the more realistic ceiling for him is more of a high end two, but I could see him scraping and scrapping into a low end or a low tier wide receiver one. I just think he's really got to be in the right situation in terms of his development because he is so raw. He is so inexperienced. You need someone to really coax that out of him and mold him. He's this really fun, traitsy ball of clay. You have to get him molded in the right way by the right coaching staff in the right system. So I just think with those, and that honestly is true of a lot, if not most or all players in the NFL, but just given his inexperience and how raw he is and how he was more traits and tools than technique and skill set coming out from Florida State and even going back before that to Michigan State, I think the more realistic outcome is a high-end wide receiver too. But if things click and really go right, I think he could be a low-tier wide receiver one where he's got that physicality to his game in terms of at the catch point and in his routes and stems, but then he's also got some of the nuance and feel for leverage and coverage. I don't think he's ever going to be the most clean feet type of guy just because how he's built, but if he can increase some of his lower body flexibility and start to add deception to his stems, so that way he can be cleaner and reduce the amount of steps he has coming in and out of breaks, then you can really start to get excited and take it further. But I think the most realistic one is a high end too. Oh, RJ saying, I think Coleman could be a high-end wide receiver too. Maybe a chance to be a low-end wide receiver one. Very similar to T. Higgins with a slightly different skill set. I thought Higgins was a better route runner coming out and is a good route runner now, but I think it's a fair comp overall. RJ saying, deception and route running is something that can be taught, correct? Hopefully it's just a time thing for Keon to learn those nuances. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s dad was literally an all-time route runner. Yeah, deception and route running is something that can be taught. That's where you teach, gear changes and pacing and how to set corners up and how to, you're going to do B, but you're going to make them think that A is coming and vice versa. So I think, again, the more experience he has, the more time on task, the more he gets the opportunity to just play the game of football. Again, he was playing basketball and football at Michigan State, and then he had the 1 year at Florida State. He's literally in the infancy of his football career. So it's not just like, well, he's raw and didn't get good coaching. He hasn't played a lot of football. So that is something that can be taught. It's just got to be drilled into him and he's got to have to work at it, but it can be taught. Comment here saying, I always thought Coleman was the upgrade and Gabe Davis replacement. I think a little bit of a different skill set, but fair. I understand where you're coming from. Jared saying, I think if thumbs in, he would have caught it. Yeah, diamond aspect. That's a fair thought. That's a fair thought. Jim saying, and Josh is taking some speed off his passes this year, too. You can see, yep, he's layering some throws. He's feathering it in there a little bit, which is very nice. Sespinar saying Keon could be the perfect boundary receiver if Shakir ends up being an elite slot. Yeah, that's fair. Oh, an 809 says Shakir is already an elite slot. One incompletion when targeted on an uncatchable ball, and he broke Mike Thomas's consecutive catch record. He's unreal. I do think Shakir is very good. I do think using like the catch rate isn't the best metric for Shakir. Going into this past week, his average depth of target was 4.1 yards, which was the lowest out of 105 qualifying wide receivers. So not to knock him for that, because I love Shakir at Boise State, and I love him now. I don't think the catch rate piece is the best thing to judge him with, or if you're going to use that as like, oh man, he's really crushing it, because he's catching a lot of things close to the line of scrimmage. Granted, he's usually in high traffic areas because he's in the slot, but just some of the screens and the RPO stuff and the bubble stuff and the pass tag stuff, I think the average depth of target definitely plays a role in there. I've got some fun stats on Shakir as well, though, and Coleman once we start to wrap this episode towards the back end. So I'll be saving that for you folks. This one here, offensive pass interference on Keon Coleman on this route. So he runs a deep curl. I give him points for effort in trying to use his physicality to separate at the catch point. And this is, again, an element of his game that I talked about last week in the Tennessee film was, how many steps it takes him to come in and out of breaks, or come out of breaks, I should say, how much it takes him to gear down and come out. He knows it's going to take him several steps to break out on the curl. So he tries to create some separation here with the physicality. He just does it a tad too much. So let this play run. Witherspoon is on the outside this time, and you'll see Coleman going upfield, and you'll see him just extend that arm a little bit too much. This is where the white tape works against you, because officials can see that arm and see that it's extended. Pushes off, and that's how he creates the separation. Nice moves after the catch, though. Comes back to the ball, turns upfield. Again, this play doesn't count because of the OPI. Go back so we can see it in real time. Getting so close. There we go. Watch it from the beginning. Can you see there's no deception? There's no pace change. He's just hauling it like he's going vertical, which isn't bad, but he's not the fastest guy in a straight line speed aspect. So Witherspoon isn't too threatened, so he's able to stay on top of it. And then because Coleman doesn't have the cleanest feet coming out of his breaks, he has to use that arm and use that physicality to try and create some separation. He gets flagged. But again, nice job coming back to the ball, turning upfield, getting out of it. Just gets flagged, unfortunately. And then I think Ray Davis got flagged for that one too, just based off of that block in the back there. This next one, tunnel screen for Mr. Keon Coleman. This is a little bit more of tying into the bully ball aspect, size and athleticism. I thought he left some meat on the bone on a screen last week against Tennessee. This one was nice, though. It's 1st and 20. He gets 15 yards on this play. Again, I think his yards after catch aspect, or the athleticism once he got the ball in his hands, was an afterthought at Florida State for him, or for people, because they heard and saw the slow 40 time and thought it just meant, he had cement feet, or wasn't a good mover with the ball. But this is nice from him. There's a little tunnel screen, good blocking out in front, takes advantage of what he can get, see some juice, see some fluidity, get the ball in his hands, let him do some stuff. Okay, nothing crazy on this one. Guys getting out in front, Amari getting some positioning, Dawkins getting out there, David Edwards hauling it downfield, trying to get a piece of the safety, forcing him to go down. Actually, a good job by number 13, Ernest Jones, with the wrap on his arm, getting upfield and making a play. Nice tunnel screen, athleticism, get upfield. Nice when you can do that with your big-bodied receiver who's winning contested catches, but then also can move like this once he gets the ball in his hands. Another nice piece to him. This one I just titled Insubordinate and Churlish. If you follow me on Twitter, I use that for plays that are just dominant and or disrespectful. This is the one I talked about earlier. I double pasted my notes into some things. So this is, I should have known too, because when I was talking earlier, I was like, this doesn't make sense with how this is lining up. But this is the 3x1 with the jet motion, weak side, mid zone run to the same side that the jet motion happens to. Coleman is highlighted up top. This is him just being, again, insubordinate and churlish as a blocker. as far as that 3-by-1 jet mid-zone run that we're talking about, here comes Mac Hollins. You'll see this a ton. I tweeted one play of it today. This happened a bunch in this game, this specific type of play. It's happened a bunch this season. What I liked in this game is Brady used some play action off of it and paired it with that. This has been a huge run indicator for the Bills this year. They have spammed the hell out of this play. The way they spammed all the tackle pull stuff against Dallas last year, they spam the hell out of this play week after week. 3-by-1. Sometimes they'll vary how the three, look, but right here you just got a tight bunch. You're going to get the jet motion across the field, and then you're going to get a mid-zone run to the weak side of the field, to the same side that the jet is happening. The Bills run this all the time. Joel Brady loves it, and if it works, he's going to keep running it until you decide it doesn't as a defense. A good example of this, and again, I broke this down on Twitter. He did this against the Cardinals in week 1. He kept running this, and it was working and it was working. And then in the second half, Budda Baker sees the jet motion, and he comes from the other side of the field and meets the running back right at the line of scrimmage in the hole, because he's like, nah, I know what's coming. That's not happening. Cardinals had another blow up on this play with Kazir White, their middle linebacker. He sees the jet motion. He shoots backside and makes the play. So teams are able to catch on to it, which I'm encouraged by Joel Brady knowing that and leaning into play action off of this exact look. It's very important. Marrying the run and the pass. If you keep showing this run, this is how we dress it up. This is how we present it. And then you show that and it's actually a play action pass. That's where you really start to get to be a problem. So I liked that Brady did that in this game, in addition to running more play action in general versus their yearly rates. But here comes the jet motion from Mac Hollins. You're going to get that weak side mid-zone run. Here's Keon Coleman up top, just being insubordinate and churlish. Gets a good jump, a good get off on the snap. And it just pushes Wool into the ground and gets him with the point. He did this exact thing at Florida State last year against Florida. I put that tweet out yesterday. This is a Keon Coleman staple, kind of jumping his man and putting him to the ground and pointing at him. And it's even more funny considering just how Woolen and Coleman were going at it in this game, really battling with one another. There it is. Insubordinate and churlish. Nothing crazy, nothing too technical to break down other than, the 3-by-1 with the jet motion. Keep an eye out for that going forward when you're watching Bills games. If you see a 3-by-1 like this and you get that jet motion across the formation more often than not, that means you are going to get this weak side mid-zone run. So, and if you don't know which is the weak side or the strong side, just think of it wherever the jet motion guy is going, that's where the ball is going. You get that mid-zone run, which means it's being run at the inside leg of the offensive tackle, which is what you get here. There goes the jet motion. Again, that's my bigger part of my bigger takeaway from a schematic perspective. This play is super simple. Like, it's just Keon being insubordinate and churlish in a good way and a funny way, which I like. But there goes that jet motion. That means the run is going to that side. And Keon just puts Woolen on the ground and then points. Man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Just, man, that's good stuff. Woolen was not pleased about that, as I'm sure no one would be. This next one is also a block from Keon Coleman. This is the block into the bench on the sideline that was really blown up and talked about during the game, mid-game. So he's going to block his man into the bench. This is 29. This is Job. That other corner, practice squad guy who's up because Trey Brown is banged up, their starting corner. Nothing crazy on this one again for Coleman. Like, the end is what's talked about because he drove the guy into the bench and they got into it a little bit, but it's more just Keon Coleman sustaining his block, keeps his feet moving, keeps driving. This is a nice aspect from Keon's game again with this block. So we're going to get a little motion from Shakir, and then we're going to get the return. So a little jet and then return orbit. Here goes Keon up here. Going to drop it back. Technically, this counts as a run for Shakir because it's a backward pass. But, sorry, I shouldn't distract from the crux of the play. Let's watch Keon up top. Forget about Allen. Forget about Shakir. Coleman takes off. I like how he delays a little bit and then explodes into the corner. He's feeling himself after he just put Woolen on the ground a little bit before. Look at the hand placement. Again, size difference. He's bigger than the corner. He's got the hands right on the shoulder pads. He's into him. He's into his body. He's got some extension. He's got control. keeping his body now in between the defender and the ball carrier, keeps moving his feet. Again, the hands control, the feet are what drive. So he controls with the hands. He keeps his feet moving. He's got leverage. He's underneath that corner, and look at him just driving. Again, those hands are underneath. They're into the shoulder pads, into the collar. Keeps driving, keeps driving, keeps driving. I also think this is a little bit too of the corner, probably grabbing Coleman right here a little bit. I don't know how much this is Coleman driving the corner into the bench as it is the corner pulling Coleman with him. But either way, Coleman stays engaged. And then we get a bit of a, nasty landing there. Not ideal. Not a fun way to get driven to the bench if you are an opponent. That's your soul being taken right there. And this, I mean, the Bills in the run game in this one, like you get your receivers blocking like this and just putting dudes to the ground on multiple reps, in addition to the Bills offensive line just routinely melting defensive linemen and linebackers for the Seahawks. This is your soul just being taken right here. Oh, that hurts. Those benches are hard. That does not feel good. I'll watch it one more time in real time. Actually, a couple more times in real time. Drives him. Oh, you can almost hear it. You can watch his body kind of reverberate as he hits the bench. But again, get your hands on him early. Your hands are there. Your positioning is sound. You're controlling him. And then you keep your feet moving. You keep engaged, or you stay engaged. You stay active. That's nice from Keon. Working downfield. Good job by Mac Hollins, too. Blocking up on Witherspoon. You can see Mac Hollins in the slot right inside of Keon there. Watch as he gets in and watch him chop the arm right here. Trying to almost snatch trap Witherspoon. That's good effort from your receivers downfield. That's what we want to see. That's really nice. This next one is a Hoss concept completion to Keon Coleman. The Bills ran this earlier versus the Seahawks on a 3rd and 5. I believe they hit Dalton Kincaid for a first down. Kincaid is the number 3 receiver here to this side, like he was on that 3rd down completion earlier in the game. Again, this is a Hoss concept name because it is a hitch outside and then a seam inside. So that's where the Hoss comes from. H-O, hitch outside, seam. There you go for the S. What you get here, the corner ends up bailing a little bit. So Allen could hit Shakir, but the read is a bit, muddy slightly. And so Allen sees that from the corner, as we'll watch it kind of play it really quick here. So you see the corner, he starts to open up like he's starting to bail out. If you get that bail, you can hit that hitch outside to Shakir. So Shakir is running the hitch and actually just kind of going back to it here. So hitch, seam. And then what you're going to get from that number 3 receiver, it's usually like a little out that turns into a little hitch. Man, that's ugly, but it gets the job. It gets the point across. So, and again, that seam route from Coleman there, you want that on the numbers, especially if it's against single high coverage. If it's against 2 high coverage, what you'll see is they'll take that seam route and then kind of turn it into a bender and try and split those safeties a little bit. So you have the option. And then some teams too will take, if you got a corner who's up in press, this hitch route can kind of turn into alert and you'll send somebody, again, well, my lines are terrible. Send somebody on, kind of vertical route, hold that red line up the sideline there on this play. So again, the corner ends up going off a little bit. So Allen could hit Shakir, but it's slightly muddy. Allen, I think, also sees that Witherspoon doesn't have the depth here. So this is Witherspoon. He's coming forward like he's going to blitz. And so that puts him out of position to get underneath and impact Keon Coleman. Also, let's talk about the coverage here. Got a 2 high safety look pre-snap. What we're going to see post-snap, safety comes down, safety rotation here. So we are getting a little weak side down safety, little rotation there. Also, talk about some guys coming here, 4 defensive linemen, but look who rushes, even though he's not really showing it. So we also have a bit of a creeper pressure look here. There goes your 4. You've got a cover 3 look. So because Witherspoon was there, as he drops, he's too far underneath. Allen already sees this. So he knows it's cover 3. He sees the safety rotation that happened. So he's watching the safety. He sees that the safety started here and booked it to the middle of the field, sees that in conjunction with that flat defender, knows what he has in Keon, knows the seam is there. And then he pulls that trigger. Again, versus single high, the seam is a beautiful option in the Hoss concept. Versus 2 high, that seam can be converted into a post or a bender to split those 2 safeties. But here, there's no adjustment needed. Allen puts it on him. And then we'll pay attention to the catch point. This could have been a worse landing for Keon, but this is another example of in the bully ball realm where being big and athletic helps at the catch point too and playing through contact. Plus the corner, Job, again, I don't think he got all of Keon there. And then one last little piece on this concept. Kincaid, the number 3 receiver here, again, runs that little hitch out. It's mainly meant to occupy coverage, but it can be a legitimate option in the route distribution based on the coverage like it was earlier in the game. So again, let's watch Keon. We'll go in slow-mo here. Here's Witherspoon. So Allen sees that, and then Allen sees this safety here. And so on the snap, he's already in bad position with Keon running the seam. And then this safety spins to the post, so it's even more advantageous to kind of hit that route. So Allen sees it. He sees the spin from the safety. He sees Witherspoon trying to gain depth, doesn't have it. And then Allen puts it up. Keon goes up and gets it, I should say. And then again, this could have been a little bit of a worse landing, but Job doesn't get all of it. Yeah, nothing crazy. Haas concept. This is literally how it's drawn up schematically, again, from the Haas concept perspective. You get the hitch outside, the seam from the number 2, and then the little out hitch from the number 3 being Kincaid. Again, just be big, strong, athletic, go up, catch the ball, make a play. This next one here is the last play that we're going to talk about in this clip. This one goes to that question that was asked earlier. How can Keon Coleman draw more flags and draw more pass interference or holding calls or legal contact, whatever it is? He draws a defensive pass interference on this one on Woolen. You'll see him get frozen a bit by the jam from Woolen, but watch how he fights through it and then accelerates by Woolen. And then after he accelerates by him and works through the jam, he works to stack him. So this play is Keon Coleman showing some strength, showing some juice, and some technique. I thought this one was very encouraging late in the game. So watch it here in slow-mo, and then I'll play in real time so you can get the sense. So Tariq Woolen is in press, and this is going to be a true press. He's going for the jam. You see him go with that punch from the inside. Keon's hand is already going up. So Woolen's made contact. He's got the jam. But look at Keon. He puts that inside hand in. He's trying to swipe that jam, that hand down from Woolen so he can work through it. And it slows him down a little bit. But then watch him accelerate through and then work to cross the face of Woolen and stack him. Once he stacks him, Woolen is kind of dead in the water. Not necessarily dead in the water in theory, especially for him because his recovery speed is great. But you'll see him as soon as he stacks Woolen, Woolen's like, and grabs him, pulls him, tugs him. This is where he can start to draw more pass interference penalties and illegal contacts or, holding, whatever you want to go with. This is where he can start to draw more flags because it's the size and strength and athleticism and frame, but with the technicality on top of it. This is him being big and strong and long and athletic. And it's also him having some good hand technique to fight through that jam. And then the nuance and the wherewithal and the technical refinement piece, I shouldn't say refinement, the technical aspect to his game to then stack his man. We'll play it in real time, a whole bunch here. You can see as the jam, you see how Coleman almost kind of gets frozen a little bit by the jam or like works slowly to go through it. I'm just going to keep rewinding it to the start of the play and you'll see it here. Dang it. All right, I'm just going to play it from here. Watch him as soon as Woolen makes that stab with that inside hand, you can see Coleman almost kind of like freezes or moves in slow-mo, and then he's able to disconnect that hand, play through the shoulder, and then stack him. Watch. Slow, bang. Strength, acceleration. So that's what I'm talking about when I say like showing some strength, showing some juice, and showing some technique. That's really encouraging from Keon Coleman. This is one of my favorite reps in the game. Probably going to tweet it tomorrow and talk about it a bunch. That's really nice. Oh, is this? Oh, nice. I finally got the right spot to keep clicking. Every time I go rewind, it kind of messes up a little bit. So I just click. Look at, there it is. Perfect. You see that stab from Woolen on the jam? Bang. The juice to accelerate through the jam and then stack. That's where he's going to start to win. This is, for me, this is my favorite rep of his in this game. I know the one-handed catch is amazing and it's a highlight reel play, But that, as crazy as that catch is, that doesn't surprise me too much. That's him kind of playing to his skill set and kind of how he already is. This one, he doesn't get rerouted too hard. He holds that red line. He doesn't get pushed to the boundary. He works back inside a little bit to stack the corner. This is him starting to show some technical precision and nuance to his game and not just being big and strong and athletic. This is really encouraging. This is more than just bully ball. And having a guy that can play bully ball is great. Again, it's fun. It's exciting. It adds an extra element of tenacity and also schematic benefit to a team. But this is what will build sustainability from him. Him pairing that bully ball aspect with the technicality to his game, the precision in his game. This is really encouraging. And again, Woolen immediately knows he's in trouble because he grabs him right away. He doesn't even let this ball get downfield. He just grabs. One more time in slow-mo. Cool. He already sees it. Coleman's hand is already up. There's the jam. Cool. Let me fight through it. Hook him a little bit. That arm is down. There goes the juice to accelerate, and then he stacks him. And also, because of the strength, Woolen is leaning into him with that arm. So once that arm comes down, Woolen's momentum kind of carries him to that outside a little bit over that inside shoulder. So it helps Keon work to stack him a little bit even more. Keon's throwing the hand up. He knows he's got him. Look where he's holding here. He's not too far to the sideline here. He's not too far to the numbers. He's holding that red line. That's a not straight line from me, but he's holding that red line, that imaginary line between the numbers and the sideline to give Allen space to put this ball inside, over the top, or to the sideline. This is really encouraging. That's also an aspect that he struggled with a bit earlier in the year where he wasn't holding the red line. Even on the contested catches he made, one against Baltimore, or the two against Baltimore, one especially, and then the one against Arizona in week 1, he wasn't holding that red line. It's kind of like an imaginary 5-yard line, 5 yards from the sideline that teaches receivers, and it's called the red line because it literally in training camp, coaches and teams will paint a red line to give receivers a landmark. You want to hold, I'm trying to draw it straight. I'm terrible at it, but 5-yard line, 5 yards basically from the sideline. You want to hold that to give your quarterback space to fit the ball outside, up top, or inside. Keon wasn't doing that earlier in the year. He was kind of operating more in the hashes, and it was given a small margin for error. So this is just really nice all around in a multitude of ways from Keon Coleman. And again, Woolen knows he's got a problem, grabs, flag comes out immediately. Really nice from Mr. Keon Coleman there. I'm going to throw up, where is the banner? Actually, I don't have a banner for this, so I'm just going to keep talking, kind of bring up some other plays. What else do we have? Let's get some comments here from you folks. Jim saying, I think everyone will always compare Coleman to Worthy. I agree. And right now, it's not even close. Coleman is ranked 30th in yards, and Worthy is 90th. I'm not going to keep comparing them. I just think their skill sets are different. Their usages are different. How they operate is going to be different. It's something that I know they're going to be together entwined forever to do that dance like the Joker and Batman. But yeah, it's just different a bit. 809 saying it's also comparison between two totally different players. Worthy will be used as a speed weapon on plays you don't want to run every possession. He's an X factor, not a grinder like Coleman. I think that's fair. Like Worthy is the guy that, you know, you're looking for like 3 to 5 catches, but they might be from anywhere for like 3 catches for 70 yards or like 5 for 160. And he's got 2 huge explosive plays. Like you're looking for him to change the game with the explosion, pull coverage, that type of speed, getting the ball in those jet sweeps and those reverses, where all he needs is the slightest crease or the slightest alley, and he's taken off to the house. So a bit different. I do have how it's done saying Shakir is 5th in the NFL in yards after catch. Oh, I got some stats for Shakir and for Coleman. Bills are electric saying, can't wait to see when Keon, Cooper, and Shakir develop the chemistry that only comes of playing together over time. I like that. 809 saying, speaking of the 3x1 with the jet motion, Eric has a video on this game breaking down how it set up a play action down the seam. Yeah, I alluded to that play earlier in this game. It's something I've been play action in general. RJ's here. I'm sure he'll chime in with the wanting more play action. The I've been talking about the lack of play action in this offense since the beginning of the year. I think it's an absolute necessity. I don't think it's like a layering piece for the Bills offense. The Bills need play action. They need it to take pressure off the run game, take pressure off their in-structure passing game, and also help generate explosives. So I think they need more play action in general. But getting play action off of this concept is something I've been talking about since earlier in the year because Brady just spams this matchup. He did it to start the year. It really started to change a little. Again, the back end of the Cardinals game and then the Dolphins game that Thursday night after the Cardinals game, Miami was ready for it. They were shutting this run down left and right. So we started seeing the Bills go to more duo and more of their tackle pull type stuff because they kept running this. And Miami was like, yo, we saw you spam the hell out of this against Arizona. And so my thought was, okay, cool. Pivoting to a different run concept is nice, but it would be even better if you also knew that teams knew what this play meant and you just ran play action off of it. So it was really encouraging to see them do it in this game off of a tendency. It's a bit of a tendency breaker tied into something that I think is an absolute necessity for this offense. So it was really nice to see that. Oh, and and RJ talking about that play as well. Yeah, Brady almost spams this play as much as the empty set tunnel screen. Yeah, that's right there. The 3x1 jet motion, weak side mid zone is up there with that tunnel screen. Also, some of the tunnel screens and screens in general kind of get worked because it's an alert or because it's a pass tag tied to something. So some of them are tunnels, some of them are not. But yeah, I mean, that's basic. If you got those numbers, run it all day. Football is just numbers and space more often than not. Numbers and space and angles. And if you've got advantageous numbers somewhere, whether it's in the box or outside, take advantage of it. Miguel saying, what should we expect from the offense with Coop fully up to speed? I expect things to open up a little bit more with Cooper up to speed, just with how he's been operating, what he offers in terms of a separator, in terms of a true X. He can win against press. He can win with his release. He can win in the stem. He can win on the break. I still think they're lacking a vertical element with the speed. I'm hoping Curtis Samuel can help with that a bit once he comes back and he starts to get a bit healthier. So I still worry they don't have a true downfield threat or let alone multiple from an actual speed aspect. And again, Cooper's not slow, but I think he's lost a step versus what he was last year. Like I think if he ran a 40 right now, he's probably in the 4.5s, which is still fast, but a bit slower, all things considered. I expect more separation. I expect more one-on-one wins on the backside from Amari Cooper. I expect things to feel lighter. I expect there to be more openness to the offense in the underneath and the intermediate part of the field. I just expect expansion because you have to honor Amari Cooper and that tying into how Keon Coleman is winning, how the run game is winning, and then hopefully more play action pass, I think should lead to more shot plays and explosives generated with play action. And then more 3x1 sets with Cooper as the one wide receiver, maybe some sets where it's a 2x2 with him and Kincaid, and you can get creative in terms of who's in the slot and who's outside. So I just think I expect more easy completions. I expect more room to operate in the intermediate and the underneath. Oh, Jim Jack, I like this one saying he's got some George Kittle in him. Pride in moving another man that doesn't want to be moved. I like that. RJ saying, I love how they put Shakir outside and Coleman inside here on the play. One of the plays you showed, I think both can eventually be moved around the formation like this. I think that's part of the goal too, right? You have these guys who have multiple alignment opportunities and potentially you can take a guy and put him outside or on the inside. You can put him in motion. You can have him close in a condensed look and he can block or still run a route, or you can operate and spread. Some guys you can put in the backfield like Samuel or have him outside or in the slot. There is that potential for that. Okay, Maury says the red line, aka the line everybody and their brother now knows of because Rodgers threw Mike Williams under the bus. Yeah, that's fair. That's super fair. Paul saying, how much of our offensive success was the Seahawks defense? What I'm getting at is how does this look replaying the Texans or the Ravens? I think that's a super fair question. The Bills had a good game plan in this one. The marrying of the run and the pass, the use of play action, the tendency breakers, some of the spectacular plays that we saw. The run game was definitely cooking conceptually, but Seattle was very bad from a defensive perspective, especially within their run fits. I alluded to it earlier and mentioned it. They had some alignments up front where I just didn't understand what was going on. Like the gaps that they were leaving uncovered and then just being attacked in those gaps. They're not adjusting in terms of, they'd shift on the back end, but not adjust for that at the second level. There was just there was a lot of unsound gap fits and run structure integrity from their defensive front. And the Bills took full advantage of that. Like I said, they had some reps where they were just melting guys. Their double teams with Brown and Torrance, McGovern and Torrance, McGovern and Edwards, they were displacing defensive tackles left and right and melting guys. Deion Dawkins buried a couple guys. Spencer Brown was getting on the move. Dawson Knox had a couple really good blocks. Keon Coleman had a couple good blocks like they showed here. But I do think a bit of that is hand in hand. The Seahawks defense just not playing up to snuff from a structural or schematic perspective. I have a lot of questions for their defense, and to the point that I kind of want to watch them every single week going forward, because I don't understand why they were so unsound, especially from a single high alignment where you do have an extra body in the box and you should be better. And I know Mike McDonald wants to fit the run from too high and be able to live in that world, but they were very unsound, even just from a single high alignment. It was very confusing. I didn't know what they were getting at, and they got beat to hell because of it. I think also in this game in general, too, the Bills played a really good game, but Seattle shot themselves in the foot a bunch, just with the offense getting down into the red zone multiple times and things kind of falling apart, the snap going over Geno's head, Geno falling down, just between that and their run fit stuff. Yeah, Seattle did not bring their best football schematically or individually, but the Bills played a good game as well. And then how does this look replaying the Texans or the Ravens? I still think the Ravens are a bad matchup for the Bills, just based off their personnel, their identity offensively and defensively, and then their individual players and personnel. I still don't think the Ravens are a good matchup for the Bills, whether it's in Buffalo, whether it's in Baltimore. I still think the Ravens have that advantage, but we'll see as the Bills start to grow as a team. Matt Milano comes back, the inclusion of Amari Cooper, start to see how things start to change a little bit and how much you can mitigate those matchup differences or deficiencies that you have. Texans, I think, is a bit of a wild card with Diggs being out for the year. And then also you didn't really get a full game of Nico Collins. Plus you didn't have Joe Mixon in that game. Plus their secondary was banged up. I don't think we got the Texans' best football. I know they didn't get the Bills' best football, but I do think they have a defensive recipe that can give the Bills the offense problems. Now, again, though, that you have Amari Cooper, you're able to fight fire with fire a little bit as well. So I think as the season matures, the Bills are better equipped to face the Texans and the Ravens. I would rather face the Texans than the Ravens, though. I think the Bills have a better chance of beating Houston than they do Baltimore, just based off of the matchup schematically and from a personnel standpoint. RJ saying, I am a play action advocate. I knew you'd like that. I knew you'd be all about this game. Thank you, Joe. Joe saying Joe Brady heated. We know he watches the Skies coverage. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Just some play action numbers I mentioned on the show last week with Mina. I tweeted it out too. The Bills were last going into this past week against Seattle in terms of play action passes run. They had the second lowest play action rate, but then they were first in EPA per attempt on play action passes, which again is a factor of a bit of having a lower sample size, but it's a necessity for this offense, and it flows so well with how good their run game is. I don't know why they haven't done it more. So we'll see. Hopefully that continues going forward. Some stats that I wanted to mention, I alluded to them earlier in the episode, not just for Keon Coleman, but also for Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman amongst 152 qualifying pass catchers. Khalil Shakir, second in EPA per target, seventh in yards per route, fourth in yards after catch, 16th in yards after catch over expected. Keon Coleman, fourth in EPA per target, 26th in yards per route, and sixth in yards after catch over expected. So you're getting really good yards after catch for Shakir and Coleman, really good EPA per target. You've got two receivers in the top 5 in EPA per target, and then in the 2 in the top 30 in terms of yards per route. So the young guys kind of bringing it a little bit for the Buffalo Bills there with Keon Coleman, with Khalil Shakir. It's nice to see them kind of put everything together a bit. And overall with Keon, where he is at this point after, I'm watching everything every single week, offensively and defensively, but doing these extensive dives into his game last week and this one, the physical tools are starting to show more, and his physical tools and traits are starting to have more of a role in this offense, which is what my hopeful expectations were for him this season, as he learned the technical aspects of the position en route to hopefully more refinement and nuance to his game. Specifically, like I mentioned a bunch in this episode, route trees, stem work, releases. that wasn't going to come as a rookie. He wasn't all of a sudden going to be week 15, this technical marvel operating with deception and a good release package and a full route tree and great feet, knowing how to come in and out of breaks and how to sell this and operate this way. He wasn't going to become this technically sound wide receiver as a rookie. But my hope was that the physical tools and traits that he had would be able to sustain him as a rookie, have a role in this offense while those technical pieces came along, while that refinement started to get developed and he started to add more polish to his game. And what we've seen these past couple of weeks, what I showed in this episode, what I showed last week in the film breakdown against the Titans, you're seeing the physical elements. You're seeing the highlight reel plays, the size, the strength, the length, the frame, the athleticism, but you're also starting to see a couple more pieces bit by bit. Again, it's not a ton, but bit by bit each week in terms of more nuance, more technicality, more refinement. I still do think he has a long way to go. If we watched every single rep of him against the Titans last week, you would see that Brownlee really had him in hell for a majority of that game, just getting into him, press after press after press, sometimes soft shoe, sometimes true, and just staying attached to him, staying in his chest, on his hip pocket, no matter what route he was running. But I think highly of Brownlee, and he's having a good rookie season. So that's not the worst thing in the world for Coleman. So I do think he has a ways to go. I do think there are areas of opportunity in his game, like we showed in this episode, like I showed last week, like I've talked about. But it's very encouraging to see him be able to play to the physical tools and traits as a rookie, because that's his best chance of winning as a rookie and his best chance to help this offense. And now that you've got someone like Amari Cooper who can add the technical aspect, Dalton Kincaid can add the technical aspect, Khalil Shakir can add the technical aspect. Now you can let Coleman be more of that bully ball player, more of that physical, toolsy, traitsy type of rookie, while he continues to put it all together and build and become more of a well-rounded, polished wide receiver. It's been a really encouraging past 2 weeks for Keon. And again, in theory, the more time on task that he gets in practice and in these games, he should start to learn. I think his football IQ is very underrated. He adapts, he understands, he learns. So as he faces better competition, he in theory should get better. He should learn more. Again, even some of the little tweaks that he made this week against Seattle as opposed to what happened the week before against Tennessee was encouraging. So continuing to build, very encouraging to kind of see where he is and what he is right now as a rookie in this Bills offense, with the potential to grow into more potentially. Grab some comments here. Jim saying, I think Buffalo is starting to scare people offensively, and the other team is gambling more and getting nervous, frustrated. We've got 4 wins by 20 points. They just need to be able to win outside the numbers and in one-on-one situations. And if they can do that more, teams are going to be scared to play single high, whether it's cover 1 or cover 3. They are going to be scared to live in those looks, which means you'll get less numbers in the box. You'll get more too high coverages, which allows you to run the ball more. And then you can start to work in the play action, marry those two things. It should be a positive snowball effect for this offense going forward after the addition of Amari Cooper, which is something they really needed, whether in actuality or theory. So I'm excited to kind of see where that goes. Oh no, Share Bear says, I have COVID. That sucks. I hope you feel better. Stay inside. Stay healthy. Don't touch anything. Make sure you wear a mask, all that stuff. Oh, COVID protocol is wild, but hope you start to feel better. Paul saying, our main weakness since Daboll left was our offensive lost a lot of consistency. Can't succeed if it's feast or famine, because famine means your defense is getting beaten up and eliminates offensive plays for close/low scores. Game script has been tremendously important for this Bills team this year. If they get off track and they've had to open it up and live in the in-structure passing spread world, it's gotten ugly, and they can't live in that way. They cannot continue to live that way. John saying, everything on offense just seemed quote-unquote easier this week against Seattle. It didn't have that tooth-pulling energy needed to move the ball, which was nice. It honestly felt like when the 2021 team was clicking. If you can run the ball and work in play action, it's crazy what can happen. I hate, beating that same drum or saying it because I've said it so much. Man, like, if you can run the ball, you're already in a good spot. And then if you can add play action on top of it and marry those looks where you can, I talked about it before. I watched an interview with Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach for the Eagles, a couple of years ago, and he talked about how every run play in the Eagles playbook also has a pass off of it that looks the exact same, the same presentation, the same alignment. That's where you want to put defenses into hell. So again, that 3-by-1 jet motion, mid zone, weak run is an example. You show that look and then you run the hell out of it. And then teams are like, okay, here comes the run. And now it's play action pass. And it could be a play action pass in a multitude of ways. It could be standard. It could be a boot. It could be whatever. You do that with everything. Same way you make your formations look the same for the run and you run duo. And then you make it look the same. Then you run mid zone and the defense never knows which is coming. And then you add a pass tag on top of it. So if the numbers aren't advantageous for either run, then you check to the pass tag or you have an alert built into it. There's a lot of things that are building that I'm very excited for. Joe saying, Ant, can you discuss what the emergence of Coleman and Cooper's presence can do for Kincaid schematically? Are they any more free to let him rip up field than they have in weeks past? I think that'll start to come more and more. I think the more Cooper gets established, the more Coleman gets established, the more you have to account for bodies on the outside where you're not comfortable being like, yeah, whatever. We know they can't win on the outside. We're cool beating them. We're cool just leaving guys on islands out there. We can have more bodies in between the numbers. If more bodies have to play over the top, the less teams are able to sit in single high structures. It's going to help Kincaid and open up things for Kincaid. And then I think just in the little pieces, we saw glimpses of it against Tennessee, using Cooper and Kincaid on the same side together, putting them in 2-by-2s. I don't care who's in the slot and who's outside, but getting them to work together and in tandem. Cooper's going to have some gravity. He's going to draw attention. Coleman is starting to a bit. I still don't think Keon Coleman's at the point where you're afraid to cover him one-on-one. He's had some highlight reel catches and he's made some big plays, and those are starting to continue to show up in terms of volume and frequency. But I don't think Coleman's necessarily there in terms of striking fear into a defense in one-on-one situations consistently. So I think that'll come a little bit, but the presence of Cooper, I think, really opens up Kincaid. And the success of Coleman, same thing with Shakir, starting to help and open up a little bit. Kincaid's always going to have somewhat of a tougher time because he operates in high traffic areas, in between the numbers, middle of the field, all that kind of stuff. But I think as the in-structure passing game starts to succeed more, you get opportunities for Kincaid off of play action, and then you get opportunities to kind of move him around a little bit in conjunction with Cooper and with Coleman and with Shakir as things start to open and get looser, because you start to have that fear as a defense of losing in one-on-one situations against the Bills' weapons on the outside. That's really where it starts to happen. If defenses have more fear of getting beat in one-on-one situations on the outside, or they have to, they've got Cooper and two other receivers in trips together, and you put Kincaid as the quasi-X on the backside of the formation, and they're more worried about Cooper and who else the Bills have in that trips, and then you have a one-on-one situation for Kincaid on the outside, that's where that presence of Cooper starts to open things up and work a little bit. Coleman, again, I think is coming along. I think he's starting to put some fear into defenses, but I don't think it's holistically there as much as Cooper's is. But that's a really good comment and thought from you, Joseph. We're going to throw up the sponsor, One Pie Pizza. Mentioned it earlier. Joe mentioned it earlier in the chat when he talked about cheese to sauce ratio. The best pizza in Buffalo, New York. I do not say that because they sponsor the show. They sponsor the show because I think they are the best pizza in Buffalo, New York. Great cheese to sauce ratio, cup and char pepperoni, a homemade sweet sauce. They also make their own blue cheese. Everything is just really spot on. They also do catering options as well. I'm also looking up the pizza. I say it every week, and I hate to kind of spoil it, but there's a pizza that they have that was named after us. It is delicious. It is fantastic. I'm trying to pull up that menu now. It's called the Cover One Allen Goat, which is just absolutely fantastic. And let's get there. Where are we? Oh, why is my internet being foolish? Somebody look it up for me. It's really good. Everything they do, honestly, is fantastic. Catering stuff, the pizzas. He said the line. Yeah. I feel like Bart in The Simpsons. Yeah. Cup and char pepperoni, sweet sauce pie, homemade blue cheese. They do a bunch of initiatives and drives for the city of Buffalo every year in the community. Toys for Tots, they'll be kicking that up as we get closer. And then for every toy you donate, you get a ticket to be entered in a raffle for tons of prizes. Sometimes it's, food related, like free pizza for X amount of times and free different things there. But then like autographed Sabres memorabilia and Bill stuff, like Sabres tickets, a whole bunch of stuff. Like they're really awesome for that. So go get yourself some one pie pizza, treat yourself and family and friends and loved ones to some one pie pizza. You will not regret it. I truly mean that. And I found the pizza that they named after us. Yeah, cover one Allen Goat, homemade red sauce, goat cheese, chicken fingers, mozzarella cheese, red onion, and bacon. It bangs. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, Claude says your internet is being churlish and insubordinate. Yeah, it was. I couldn't load the page. I don't know what the hell happened. Yeah, go get yourself some one pie pizza. You will not be disappointed. Maybe get some for your Halloween festivities, depending on what you folks are doing. If you have not already, please, and thank you. Drop a like on this video. It goes a sincerely long way towards helping myself and the entire team to track and trend in front of more eyes and ears. So if you have not already dropped a like on this video on YouTube, please do so. If you're listening on one of the podcasting apps or platforms, that's cool too. Please rate and review and subscribe. If you're here on YouTube, turn on notifications for the Disguise Coverage playlist. Subscribe to the Cover One channel. Tell your family and friends and loved ones about how awesome this show is. If you thought the show was terrible, tell your enemies and try and ruin their day by making them watch this show. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I put a lot of work into it, as I do every week, but the film ones are always a bit more strenuous, especially when I'm rolling solo. So I hope you folks enjoyed this episode. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have fun on a Halloween week. If you are doing any Halloween parties or festivities or going trick-or-treating with family members or kids or whatever you got, I hope you have a good time and are staying safe. Enjoy the rest of your week. And in general, I hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. I will see you tomorrow for an episode of the Cover One Film Room. And then next week, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of Disguise Coverage. Until then, appreciate all the kind words that have come through for me throughout the entirety of the episode, at the beginning, the middle, and then some of you folks at the end here. I see it. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who tuned in live for this episode. It was awesome to see the engagement, the back and forth, the questions, the numbers, the presence, everything. But if you didn't watch live and you watched later, listened later, downloaded, whatever have you, whatever form or fashion your support comes in, I greatly appreciate it. I'm tremendously thankful for it. And yeah, Godspeed. I'll see you when I see you. And as always, go Bills.